Hey guys, here for the second installment of the Kohan 2 multiplayer commentary videos. I've been playing Kohan 2 a little more regularly uh, than when I made my last video. Been playing on Ashitaka's balance mod, which turned out quite well. Been turning out some pretty good games, a lot less QQing about imbalances in the game. Um, and this time I decided to go ahead and select a film of a recent game I played. It was pretty interesting um, game and compared to what you saw before. We used a little bit of different kind of strategies within this game, which I will explain to you once it reaches the point in the game. Early game, of course, it's going to look pretty much the same. We got some scouting going on. This game was Jigstapo as Gari Council and myself as Haroon Council, playing against Lord Brian as Human Sia and Vargo as Shadow Fallen. And so I'm going to probably go ahead and skip the first 10 minutes or so of this game up to the point where things really start getting heated up and, which will be the main focus of this video, just so I can kind of showcase a little bit of a different kind of strategy that was implemented in this game. So bear with me. Okay, so what we're looking at right now is about 12 to 13 minutes in game. So we're going to be seeing a lot more of regular engagement. Heavy troops are going to be coming out. This is where it starts getting a little more exciting. At the moment, Vargo has captured this artifact shrine, which provides Dylan's robe, gives a bonus to ranged units. It was previously occupied by Jigstapo, which I believe he passed to me, considering I was Haroon, and I was planning on getting some archers out. But doesn't matter now, because Vargo has capped this. He's going to drop a fort here. It's a very good defensive position. That way, if Jigstapo wants to try and take it back, he's going to have to deal with this fort militia and this mana construct that defends the tech building. So probably going to be seeing a lot of action going on at this point right here, considering it's very close to Jigstapo's furthest outmost city, and it's kind of in the path of anywhere he wants to go. So let's go ahead and take a look at myself. I'm down here. I've got 2 heavy units dropped at the city. I have scouted Brian. Brian, however, has not scouted me, but it looks like he's on his way to scout me. Earlier on in this game, Jigstapo was in a little bit of a tough spot, considering he had some trouble finding his first settle. So he kind of said that he's going to definitely need some backup right away. So I have my first 2 scouting units moving on up to back him up, just in case Vargo tries to be a little aggressive here. Jigstapo scouting out Vargo's furthest out city, so he's kind of got a good idea where that's at. Just going to kind of move around with him up here. I've got my eye on 2 cleared sets here, but I'm not necessarily going to go ahead and settle those right away, considering Haroon don't really need more than 3 cities at this point in the game. Cities automatically upgrade when the structures fill up all the slots, and then so that's pretty much why you don't need to oversettle with them. Just going to put my settlers on scouting. Going to kind of try and get an idea of where Brian's at, considering I've got units up here. Really would hate for Brian to show up here and start pushing Jigstapo. But at the moment, looks like we're just kind of putting on light pressure on Vargo. Just doing a couple engagements up here. Not nearly enough to do any major pushing on this shrine, or on this tech over here, which is fortified. Jigstapo does have a heavy company of archers out. Meanwhile, Vargo just recruited his first heavy company. Looks like he attached a Banshee on here. It's going to give him archer foe. That's going to help him against Jigstapo, who in his mind at the moment looks like he wants to retake this shrine, or this tech, excuse me, and basically regain that archer bonus. Meanwhile, Brian is going to be probably finding my furthest my closest settlement to him. I do have one heavy unit here, along with some caretakers, aka the Haroon engineers. So should be able to give him a little opposition, considering I did move up a lot of my units up here. Drop my two full heavy archers up here. I'm going to decide to go ahead and pull back my scouts to the city now that Brian's found me. This Kohan is a healer, so although these support units on this company did not fully heal, I should be able to do some pretty decent damage to Brian's scouting units, considering he only has his 4 scouting units here. This company should be able to hold out pretty well. Haven't lost any units on it quite yet. He's dropping a fort over here for resupply. But I do have my scouts on the way. They're going to go ahead and be able to reinforce this. Meanwhile, doing some more scouting of Brian with my settlers. Got my heavy archers here to back up Gestapo. And looks like Brian's going to be forced to fall back. Probably going to go ahead and decide to pursue him. He's going to probably have to cancel this fort. Let's see if he does. And yes, he does. He drops the fort. And are ready. Everything's good. I can see he's sending some heavy units this way. So I'm going to want to go ahead and take this defense a little more seriously on my side. I'm probably just going to only be able to provide these 2 archer companies to Gestapo, but considering he's only fighting Vargo up top, it's going to be fine. So, getting out some more heavy units on my side, in case Brian tries anything a little too crazy. Let's see what he's planning. Brian's falling back to his city. See where he's at this point. He's at plus 164, huge surplus of wood. Getting out some more heavy units. Looks like he's got some resource mines already. Got a little bit of a battle going on up here. We're going to go ahead and try and see if we can do any pushing to Vargo. Gestapo decided to pop out some infantry units at this point, considering Vargo appears to have a couple companies of Reavers with Banshees. He's going to want to mix up his unit comp a little bit. He's doing a pretty good job of holding. He's got this fort here along with a shrine right up front. He's dropped another fort out back for resupply when we push him up to this fort. So looks like he's going to be doing some very major cycling. This fort is down. He's got a supply here. Looks like this fort and artifact shrine are about to engage. Yes, so he's got pretty much all his units here, plus the militia of this fort, plus this mana construct. So it's going to help him out quite a bit. Whenever a unit gets, low or whatever, just has to have him fall back to this separate supply line. He's all set. Gestapo trying to do a little bit of flanking. The thing with Shadow is they only have 1 support, and that is the captain. If you can flank the captain, you're going to take him down a whole lot quicker, but Vargo is completely denying Gestapo from any sort of flank. Alright, meanwhile, let's go and take a look at Brian. Brian seems a little bit confused about what he should be doing at this point. He's kind of pulling his troops to the middle of the map. Possibly going to try and back up Vargo against Gestapo and my 2 full archers up here. So, let's see if I have any idea what's going on. Cannot see Brian. And Brian knows I have a city here. He can see me scouting his city here. So he's probably, in his mind, he's going to try and see if he can find just an undefended city somewhere around this area. Take a look at the map. There's just nothing here. He'd have to go all the way over here to really do anything, so I don't think he's going to have any luck there. Meanwhile, looks like Gestapo and myself are making some headway up here. Probably going to take this shrine, probably going to take out this fort. Cutting off this supply line over here. Vargo's having to pull his troops back. And it looks like we're going to go ahead and take over this position up here. Vargo's in pretty good position still economically and unit-wise. So I'm fairly sure he's going to be able to hold on to his city for quite a while. Although he is going to lose this artifact. There's appears I was able to scout Brian over here. I'm going to try and lead him back to my city so that I can get, you know, get him to engage me at a place where I'm going to have a significant advantage. He has some more heavy units coming out. Still has a huge surplus of wood, so I'm expecting some more archers. Economically, he's at plus 139. I'm at plus 142. I have 11 units out, 2 up top, and Brian's at 9 out of 10. So, if anything, I should be in a pretty good position to hold this area down here, even though I have split off some up top. And also at this point in the game, I believe I start to feed Gestapo large amounts of gold. At this point, he has 400 just sitting there. Considering Vargo's quite a big beast of a player in this game, in my mind, I would rather play this game out to get a guaranteed roll going up top here, and then I can just kind of play mind games with Brian, who's gonna want to attack me, but I'm gonna go ahead and give him just a a tough time down here, and then I'm just, if he ever tries to rotate up top to reinforce Vargo, I'm just gonna go ahead and put some pressure on him. So I'm just gonna try and keep Brian out of the game, even though at this point he's probably at a pretty significant advantage over me at the bottom. We'll see. I'll just try and get these battles to play out in my favor. Gonna go ahead and engage his light units here, then pull some infantry units head on into these archers. Gonna probably be able to take them down pretty quick, considering they don't have any frontline cover. So these archers are getting torn apart here. Doing some flanking on these companies. They're going down pretty quick. It's looking pretty good for me. Meanwhile, Gestapo still at 9 out of 9. Surplus of gold. He's grabbing techs. So he really doesn't need any more units at this point. I'm sure they would help, but it's not necessarily a priority for him. Vargo's still holding off very well. He's down negative 10 iron, still at plus 164 eco. He has 4 cities. He could use an iron mine, that would help him significantly, but it doesn't look like we're going to be able to push him too hard right away. We are keeping him from doing any pushing, so he's basically got to sit at this city and hope that Brian can do something at this point. Brian dropping a fort over here. He's got a lot of units over here. Meanwhile, I'm just kind of chasing units down and sending lots and lots of gold to Gestapo, hoping he can get those techs up. Vargo going to be try to make a little bit of an aggressive move here, see if he can push this fort. See what happens here. All of our troops are kind of healing up from the last battle. My archers are at full. They don't necessarily take a lot of damage considering they're behind Gestapo's front line. Vargo pulling all his troops up, gonna make a little bit of a push here. Gestapo's units are nearly healed completely. Fairly sure we're gonna be able to hold this pretty easily. Vargo, as you can see, he's got the city set up very nicely. He's got 2 forts back here. Pretty much all he has to do in this case is let Gestapo just attack these walls straight on, drop the walls, and then pull his units straight up along with the militia as soon as the walls fall. These 2 forts are going to prevent any flanking and are going to provide him just a solid supply line back here. So you can just cycle his troops like crazy. Over here, I'm engaging Brian at his fort. Just going to kind of test his troops against mine. At the moment, I'm holding out pretty well. We're pretty much at a stalemate. Pulling Brian's troops all the way over here to the middle of the map, deciding that just in case Vargo miraculously holds us off for so long that Brian gets the upper hand on me, I'm going to go ahead and drop a fort over here by this city. And if Brian tries to do anything too crazy, like back up Vargo with a big chunk of his troops, going to go ahead and probably use that opportunity to lay siege on the city. Otherwise, overall, it might just be a good idea for me to start putting some pressure on Brian. even if I can't push anything, it's going to keep Brian distracted this entire game. And all I got to do is really just play it as defensively as possible, keep him from being able to do anything. Meanwhile, slow pushing Vargo's city now. We got 2 forward forts here. These are going to provide a lot of support to us. In the case that Vargo pulls his troops up here to engage, all we gotta do is fall back to these forts. Militia come out of these forts, and it's gonna allow us to keep the push on pretty regularly. As you can tell right here, Vargo is engaging. Like I said, walls go down, he pulls his troops up. That means half of our troops are kind of distracted with trying to take the city, so we're gonna have to go ahead and pull them away from the city and have them trying to engage his main army here. Just thought we'll try and do some flanking on Vargo, take out these captains. Not going to happen. Vargo's dedicated one of his starter units to go ahead and counter any sort of flanking, and it's working out greatly for him. Gestapo's still slowly getting his techs up on his companies, and feeding him a lot of gold this game. He's got 315 again in surplus, probably waiting to grab a tech. Vargo doing a great job of holding this off, but it's only a matter of time at this point before Gestapo is able to out-tech. Let's see what's going on down here. I do have a big chunk of my army. Gonna go ahead and put some pressure on this city here. Brian was trying to send some units to make a difference in this battle, but considering I did attack him at that point, he's got to pull back right away. I think I got some eyes on those troops. Gonna go ahead and engage them right here. Keep them away from this city here. This city at the moment is almost entirely undefended. He's got 2 heavy companies that he spammed out to try and support it. He's got a couple more companies on the run. Main chunk of his army is up here, distracted with my starter units. I'm just going to go ahead and try and keep him up here as long as possible so I can hopefully take the city. It's hard to say what I'll be able to do, but considering I've been sending so much gold to Gestapo, I haven't really used that as an opportunity to troop protect myself. So, but as you can tell, it's paying off. Slowly pushing Vargo. Vargo's units nearly all having to retreat and resupply. They do resupply fairly slow, so that's giving us quite a bit of an advantage. Doing a good job of cycling his units, but as you can tell, we're slowly pushing. Gestapo gaining in techs. Just used up 450 gold, probably for some sort of anti-infantry tech. See what happens there. But yeah, Vargo about to lose this forward settle. It's providing him with plus 68 gold, plus 11 iron, plus 17 mana. He's already tanked, been forced to tank on troops, considering all the pressure we've been putting up over here. So, see, city's about to drop. We took the city. He is now at negative 144. He's probably gonna be able to retake the city, but definitely in a spot of hurt. Meanwhile, Brian at this point has been able to pull all his troops back, but it's not gonna help him. He's not exactly in a position to do any pushing. These troops are low, haven't been able to heal. I've been cycling my troops back and forth, basically just distracting him as much as possible in order to get the slow push up top going, and it's working out quite nicely for us. Vargo's holding out pretty well though. It's definitely delaying this kind of push longer than most other players would be able to. Brian, however, not necessarily in a bad position. I doubt I'll be able to take this city right away, but he's been forced this entire game to be moving back and forth, trying to support Vargo, then getting pulled back, trying to support Vargo, then getting pulled back. Hasn't really been able to do anything that he's wanted to do on his own. Just giving him a really hard time down here. So let's see. Pretty much concentrating most of my forces down at the city, forcing him to engage me, and then pull back to heal. I'm gonna try and see if I can cut off his supply line over here. Pretty much doing that. I doubt I'll be able to do anything this way, but I'm just slowing him down so much. If he was to fully heal and attack me head on, he would probably be able to push me back. But I'm doing what I can to just keep him busy. Meanwhile, still a very static battle over here. Vargo, however, being able to recap this city, still just losing the eco from it, considering it's still under siege. He's almost at 0 gold, about to reach blood loss. He does manage to repair his economy. Looks like he upgraded another city, but still, it's putting him at a major disadvantage. Let's see. Gestapo appears to have just tanked heavily. He got all his techs, and now he's deciding he's just going to tank on units. And this is probably going to make a major difference. So, I mean, it's kind of something that you usually wouldn't want to do unless you know it's going to be a deciding factor. Gestapo pretty much, I think, disbanded some other units or something, or he lost some units. Tanks out these really full, heavy units right here. They're just going to come in. They're all fully teched. I mean, I believe at this point Gestapo is fully teched. Tanking out his units. He's going to come crush Vargo here while he's got the chance. Vargo's units here are engaged with these 2 forts, and all these other units here that have been kind of surviving this whole game. He's got the tech advantage, and now he's got these just major heavy units here. They're just going to chase him down. Just going to make sure he can't heal up. Meanwhile, down here, like I said, yeah, Brian, I'm unable to take the city necessarily, just because, you know, Brian does have somewhat of an advantage. But I'm slowly making my way back down here. I got another city coming down. Now I can afford to build that. Just going to kind of engage the walls. Not going to allow Brian to offer any support to Vargo. At this point, I don't necessarily need to give Gestapo any more gold, considering we got the roll going on. And that's pretty much all that needed to happen. Just going to kind of break these walls down. I've got quite a few companies here. I've got, looks like 5 heavy units, full heavy long companies here. Take the walls, pull back. Ideally, Brian just wants me to go ahead and push into the city so he can just do a major flank on me. I know that's what he wants to do, so I'm just going to kind of play some more mind games with him. See what happens. He's got a lot of units over here. Pretty much all heavy units. So, attack the walls, and I'm just going to pull back and make them come to me, because there's no need for me to do anything too risky at this point. Vargo's city's going down, forts are getting taken out. We're just putting some major push on him. He's going to have to pull back all the way to his city. He does have a nice supply line of forts here, but at this point, Gestapo is fully teched. So, I mean, you just take a look at these units here, and they're just raping. So, not much Vargo can do about it. He did put up quite an amazing fight, as was to be expected, but was able to feed Gestapo enough gold, or able to put on enough pressure on Vargo to keep him from doing pushing out too much, and basically was able to keep Brian, you know, scared and confused this whole game, even though he probably could have done pretty well if he was able to attack head on, but at this point, I'm pretty much gaining an advantage. Got my eco repaired, got more units out. I believe I'm starting to do some techs. Got a good defensive position here. So I'm just going to melt his troops. See what happens. Yeah. He's basically just melting at this point. Well, it didn't look like he was able to grab any techs on his part. He might have been feeding Vargo a little bit of gold. It's hard to tell. But overall, at this point, we've gained the advantage, and yeah, they pretty much decided to resign. So, as you can tell, this game's a little bit different than you would normally expect. A lot of times, you'll just have 2 people basically fighting together against 2 people, or you'll have someone, you know, 2 people splitting off and fighting head-on. This game, however, it's a little bit different. basically uh, decided to focus it on taking out the uh, more carry-heavy player, focus on getting him out of the game or keeping him as weak as possible, and then just kind of keeping this whole bottom. There wasn't any like major battles at bottom. It was mostly just Brian wanting to support Vargo, wanting to help him out, and then I would just basically force him to just be moving back and forth on the map, not being able to make any pushes on me at all. And so overall, there wasn't really much pushing on my part at the bottom until the last couple of minutes when we had already basically pushed Vargo out of the game. Trickstoppa was at a massive advantage, being fully teched on all his units. So at that point, the game pretty much ended. A lot of times, if you ever find yourself at a disadvantage, a lot of people's tactics are to basically wall up in your city, and like you saw Vargo doing, he is very good at doing it. He delayed us pushing him forever. Took a very long time, but his only hope in doing that was for Brian to be able to do eventually push me. And as that didn't happen, as you saw, it was just basically a very slow and eventual win for us. But as you can tell, it's a very useful strategy. So something to keep in mind if you ever find yourself a little bit of a disadvantage, and rather than just fruitlessly trying to push another person, you can just basically set up, and it's a lot easier to defend than it is to attack. So all you got to do is just wall up, cycle your troops, and then that'll allow you to even possibly split off some of your troops and back up the other player on your team. So anyways, hopefully you found it a little bit different and interesting. It was a pretty good game. And just I don't know, just an interesting tactic that I enjoyed. So thanks for watching.